I'm just like, wow. It's going to be a whole different.
And you'll run into plenty of people you can do shows with, and you can do talks with. Loads of Twitch guys out there.
Yeah, that's where my mentor is out there. He just moved from San Diego, and everything's just Zooming because everyone out there is a creator, mentor, coaches.
It's attracting
out there.
tons of people like that.
Yeah. Everyone too. The people in my program are all getting mansions on the water. Now they're all doing their own business masterminds and coaching. Damn. Yeah.
Well done.
Definitely. Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Deanne Munoz, and welcome back to Sacred Soul Talk. We are in season 2, episode 4, and we have a very special guest today. We have the #1 dating coach. If you're not following him on Instagram, you need to be following him. He talks about the most controversial discussions, and I also love the fact that he's literally bringing back like the traditional alpha male. That's literally bringing the soft girl era back for us women, who we get to just drop into our femininity and let them dominate the fuck out of us. Okay, I like to.
It's a good way of summing it up, yeah.
So I would love to introduce Stirling Cooper. Woo!
Thank you so much for hyping me up.
The crowd goes wild. Thank you so much for coming today. I know you literally just landed off the plane from Miami. How was Miami?
Miami's great. Miami's always fun.
Yeah. Hotties?
There's hotties everywhere, yeah. Yeah. And they're easy to find because they're just walking around all over the place.
No, literally, it's interesting because I'm Mexican, right? And I'm born and raised East LA. Like, I'm from, like, LA. But every time I meet anyone out here, everyone's like, oh, everyone either thinks I live in Miami or I'm from Miami.
Right.
Because I have the big tits and the big ass.
You have a Miami look.
Yes. And I'm always like, oh, that's interesting. Like, not there. But we're talking earlier, we're looking in February to go ahead and terminate our lease here and move out there.
Brickles the place.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Always on the next level and the next move.
Yep.
To what's drawing me in.
You'll have fun out there. Everyone has fun out there.
Definitely.
Especially a girl like you. Although you said before you don't like to stay out late. You like you're a grandma. You stay in.
I do. You know what? I'm gonna be at the brunches.
There's plenty of those.
Brunches. Yeah. I could do the brunches, get dolled up. But yeah, the dinners, I'll be dead asleep.
You'll be done.
Yeah, but I will be at the gym 6 o'clock in the morning.
There's
right.
Great
and
gyms.
I'd rather meet people at the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning who are on my level and my frequency than at 6 a.m. coming home drunk.
Good call. Very good call.
That was.
I'm just I don't club anymore. I cannot stand it. It actually it's weird. I actually get bored.
No, it is. There's nothing to do.
There's nothing to do.
And then as a woman, especially sober, there's nothing worse than a man pulling on my arm. Hey. And I'm just like, I want to sock you in the face. Just stop pulling on me.
What if he's into that? What if he wants you to sock him in the face?
You know what? That's a good point.
And you've just played at his game.
Yeah. Oh man.
You got to watch out for these guys.
Oh, what if the bouncer socks him in the face?
Even better. That's fine.
Right.
Then you've outsourced that.
What's it called? He wants to be like a little bitch boy, huh?
Maybe.
Oh my God.
They're everywhere.
I can't stand beta men. Would that be considered beta or just like a little bitch boy?
I personally hate using these words like beta, alpha, high value man. All these buzzwords. I personally like. You might maybe my editor puts them somewhere in my videos every now and then, like in the titles or in like the hooks or something. But
like
I would challenge you to find me using that word, any of those words, unironically.
Oh.
Because I like to talk like a regular human being.
Okay.
You know.
So what word would you use for like a high value man?
An attractive guy. Because that's what you're looking for. It's what we're talking about. It's what we're talking about. Like, because, like, these words. Okay, people use these words like alpha, beta, high value man, whatever. They're placeholders, right? But the problem is that most of the time when people on the internet are talking about them, they use it as a placeholder for whatever I am. There's no definitive, like, it's such a subjective term. There's no definitive, it's XYZ equals alpha or XYZ equals beta or whatever. And so, yeah, people will very often say like, oh, you're not You're not alpha unless you have a wife and kids, or you're not alpha unless you make $1 million a year,
Right.
or you're not alpha unless you have a six pack. People will throw these labels and definitions out because very typically they are that thing. They will label it based upon what they are. Because most people, especially dudes on the internet, and I'm not talking about content creators, I'm talking about just the average guy who's engaging with content. Not trying to shit on people, but very often dudes have a problem kind of like humbling themselves in a positive way and like letting their ego get damaged a little bit so that they can learn where they need to improve in their life. They'll put up a wall instead and be like, no, I'm not the problem. Society's the problem. Or I'm not the problem. Women are the problem. Well, this isn't, I'm not the problem. You're interpreting the problem differently. No, well, if you're not getting the results you want out of life, well, maybe something's wrong with either your worldview or like the product that you are. That's kind of how I look at it.
100%.
Rant over. So. went on a tangent there.
I definitely believe that, because at the end of the day, any issues we have always starts with self.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of issues is the lack of love, the lack of self-esteem, or lack of self-worth. So it really does come down to what is my part in this situation? Like, I know, even if I'm dating somebody and I swear I'm never the problem.
How many times did you say that?
Every time.
Okay, so there's a consistent thing
Every time. I always do ask myself, how did I attract this person? What about me attracted this kind of person? And if I keep attracting the same person, then what lesson keeps repeating that I'm not learning through the first person?
Do you ever ask yourself as a woman, what am I attracted to? Like, why am I picking these guys? Because let's be honest, women tend to be the choosers more than the men do.
Correct.
Very often. So I think a better question for a woman to ask is, what kind of guys am I falling for consistently?
Okay, so
and why?
Right. I don't know if a lot of girls ask that. I don't think they really do. But I know I have had to ask myself that, because in the last 3 years I've done a lot of most of my self-improvement work right now is in relationships and love.
Yep.
Because I feel like every other area of my life, like, I'm extremely successful, and and there's no, like, I don't have issues in the other areas. So relationships and love is my only one. And it was really learning to, a lot of forgiveness, with the father wound, with the ex-husband wound, and literally, like, having to drop being the masculine woman, the tough girl, the boss. And it's so interesting because only now am I really hearing everyone talking about the femininity, and there's power in being vulnerable and soft and loving and nurturing. And it's so crazy because a lot of us girls, in high school or early 20s, we're all embodying that originally.
Yes, it's the default factory setting.
Some fucked up thing happens with one, asshole, and then we decide, well, fuck every guy. I'm never going to be loving again. I'm never going to put my heart out there. Fuck love. And then, of course, there comes, now I'm attracted to the fuck boy to reaffirm my belief system that guys are fuck boys.
Yes.
So a lot of my past people I used to be attracted to was because I've always been like a healer, and like, I'm extremely loving, I'm extremely nurturing, and I've always wanted to help. So I tend to attract broken men with a lot, especially with mommy issues. If you have mommy issues, you're gonna love me.
You want to fix them.
Yes. So I tend to attract the complete opposite of what I am. So it's the polarity. So it's the guy who's completely just broken and needs to be loved and hugged, and speak life into him and raise him to be this powerful king. So that's what kept happening. But it also reaffirmed me. I only dated emotionally unavailable men. Right. Because why? I wasn't going to ever be vulnerable, and you could never hurt me. And because I never wanted to get married again. I never wanted to be in love again. It worked. Right. I was safe with someone like that. Like, I'm safe with you. I can hang out with you all I want. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have sex. And I know I'm never going to fall in love with you.
because he's not giving you any emotion back.
Correct. Right. So that's how, so I just know that because I've done the inner work in the last 3 years, that I'm now aware of, like, oh, okay, you know, first of all, I want a man to take care of me. It still makes me uncomfortable saying that. You can see I'm still getting used to that. And at the end of the day, like, I would love to be like a trophy wife and stay home and like take care of the kids. And I always say, like, I want to take naps with them while they eat their cookies and drink chocolate milk and play outside. Like that ultimately would be an amazing dream. But I always made it a dream versus an actual goal. I'm allowed to want that still. And I do still desire that.
Would you say that in that scenario you just described, right? Being stay-at-home mom, trophy wife, whatever you want to call it, would you say there's an element there of you wanting to feel safe and feel like you've got less responsibility and less burden?
110 fucking %.
Because that's kind of what when I describe this, like, and you mentioned it before, like the masculine and feminine polarity, and women are very much pushed into their masculine today. Not just today, but for the last like 20, 30 years, women have been very much pushed into a more masculine role and masculine characteristics, right? Putting them in the workplace, putting them in positions of power in the workplace, being a boss babe, running your own business, being entrepreneurial, not needing a man, trying to do things all by themselves, trying to feel more independent. A lot of times because they've probably had their heart broken here and there, and they're trying to guard themselves. It pushes them more into their masculine and less into their feminine. And so, okay, but ultimately, I think you would agree with this. Women want to get to that point where they can feel like they can let their guard down, but they can also feel safe, and they can trust a guy, right, to take the lead, to take charge, to take responsibility, and look after everything. It's not just being taken care of financially. Correct. It's being taken care of in the sense of you like deep down in your soul and deep down in your psyche, you just feel safe with this man. And there's a lot of things that go into that, but yeah, financial stability is one of them, but there's a lot more to it than just, and that's what you might have described. You might identify or ping off being like a guy being quote unquote alpha, right? Whatever, being more masculine. It's these things, these traits a guy has that make you feel safe around him. It might have nothing at all to do with how much money he's got in the bank account, correct, the car he's driving, the watch he's wearing, the clothes he's wearing, or whatever. It's more about how safe he really makes you feel.
That does play a big role, though. The financial part, like I feel it's like it has to be mind, body, and spirit. Like,
also because you're very successful yourself.
Correct.
So you can't ignore that.
Yeah.
Like it's women really don't like to date down financially. Right. It's actually, I think it's one of the biggest indicators of divorce if a woman starts making more money than her husband.
Oh, really?
It's that marriage is destined for divorce very quickly.
Oh, interesting.
Because it depends if you're an entrepreneur versus like working, in an office job, working for a company or whatever. But very typically, like, a woman will have a harder time respecting her husband or a partner if she's the breadwinner. If she's making more money than him, very typically it's harder for her. It starts to slip.
You feel like you have bigger balls.
See?
It's the truth. Because
one way of saying it.
Then even through an argument, I'll be like, well, who fucking pays the bills?
Like,
right. You want that? What are you gonna do for it? There's gonna, the arguments, I can see the little the
little power plays, the little jabs, they start to come into play a lot more.
Yeah.
When a woman has that financial power over the man in that relationship. So, but then again, to say that, a lot of well-to-do women will still date, like you said, the fuckboy, who might be just like a broke bum who is in a band. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I'm not saying you've done that. I'm just throwing out like a scenario. Okay, so I was right. I'm just throwing out potential hypothetical scenarios that may or may not have happened to somebody, right? But okay, well, then you have to ask the question, okay, if you're attracted to that guy who's a bum, doesn't make any money or whatever, there's something about him that's attracting you, which goes back to asking the question yourself, what kind of guys am I attracted to, and why am I falling for them in the first place? Correct. And with that guy, let's say that's just one hypothetical, like, caricature example, especially here in LA, like the guy who's in a band or whatever. It's a very caricature here, but a stereotype rather. But there's something about the guy that is sexy, that is dangerous, that is he has an element of what we call social proof and pre-selection, which is basically other women find him attractive already. So ergo, he's a good choice.
What's that called?
Pre-selection.
Pre-selection.
Yeah, so when a guy is attractive to other women, women will pretty much instantly find him attractive. Think of every celebrity here in LA.
I've never heard that term, but it's true.
Yes, it's 100% true. It's evolutionary biology. It's 100% true. Like every
You have some big words. I'm going to take some notes here.
Fine by me. Go right ahead. Take your pens and paper. But let's look through. I mean, I don't really know that many celebrities these days. I don't engage in movies and Hollywood and things. But when I was a kid, right? Let's look at some really ugly like actors from like when I was a kid, like Willem Dafoe. He's a good example. The guy who played like the Green Goblin in the original Spider-Man movies.
He is
super ugly, right? And I'm not hating on the guy. But objectively not an attractive looking man, right? Exactly, objectively not attractive. But I guarantee that guy has no like problem getting women.
Correct.
I'm not sure if he's married or not, but I'm just using a random example. There's lots of guys like that in Hollywood who are not objectively good looking. Even let's be completely honest. Look at every rock star you've ever seen. You took them out of a band and put them on a street. He's now a bum. He looks like a homeless guy. But then all of a sudden you put him on a stage and now he's dropping panties. Like every girl's wet.
Every rock star from the 70s, 80s.
They're not good-looking guys. So, like, to sit here and pretend that, like, women are attracted to good looks, not as much as you think they are. Like, it's a lot. Pre-selection social proof is far stronger of a attraction trigger for women than anything else.
That is so true.
I hope you're learning a lot about yourself.
Yeah, right. I've never heard that term. I love it. What is it again?
Pre-selection. You're pre-selected by someone else. Another way of saying it is social proof. Like your social proof. Yeah. Social proof is more of an advertising term, but it works the same. Actually, that's something I kind of help guys with. Is a lot of guys will have trouble these days on like dating apps, for example, right? And most people are meeting their spouse or their girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, through dating apps today. Way more common than it was 10 years ago.
Hinge deleted me saying I wasn't me.
That happened to me on Tinder. The same thing happened to me. I got accused of catfishing myself. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Excellent. Thank you.
Get to be on it.
Oh, man. Well, I think Hinge is actually the best dating app, personally. I think Hinge is the best one.
That's what all my girlfriends are on it. Every time you go to a city, everyone's on it. So we were in New York recently, and I haven't dated or anything this last year. And my girlfriend was like, come on, you got to go on. Let's find some people. So my daughter opened the Hinge app to check me in. And I would really had opened an account before. I forgot. But when I went on, it was like, you cannot open up an account again. You're blocked for impersonating this person. And I was like,
it's me.
Okay.
See, that's the danger of having done a profession like ours in the past.
Right.
Is that will happen a lot.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so tell us your story. Tell us your story and how you got it to be a dating coach, and give us some dating tips.
Let's go. I'll give you the quick rundown of like the last 12 odd years. So I started off in the swingers scene as a bull.
What is a bull?
A bull, like the guy who comes in and has sex.
The third person
has sex with the guy's wife while he sits in the corner and watches.
Oh, I've been in this swingers scene for a long time too. I'd never heard that word before.
Really? Never heard of a bull versus cuck?
Yeah. I also didn't think I'd ever really seen men. It was always I'm always the guest.
You're the unicorn.
Always.
Oh, you're a unicorn.
Oh, okay, is that what it's called? Yeah.
You're called a unicorn.
Always.
Right? Yeah. So your name, she's a unicorn. Yeah. I'm a bull. Everyone understands terminology now.
And the few times that like I've dated someone and I've taken them there, because they're, guys I date are curious.
Right.
But then when we get there, they're just like freaking vanilla. So they're like freaking out and everything. And I'm just like, okay. Like,
I remember one of the first times I went to a swingers club, I went with a couple of girls and they were unicorns or whatever. And they invited me and I got in the hot tub and there was this like dude there and his wife, and you could tell it was like his idea to try out a swingers club for the first time.
It always
but but we get in the hot tub, and the moment his missus starts sucking my dick, this look on it, he just went pale white, like he'd seen a ghost, and he's instantly regretting his decision. And I'm like, sorry, bro, like this is your call. Like, I didn't force you to be here. Like, I just feel bad for the guy, but I still enjoyed myself, and I felt bad for the guy. And so that was kind of my shtick for a while. I was in the swinger scene. This is back in Australia, by the way. So I'm from Australia.
You're from Australia.
If in case no one could tell where I was from.
Oh, I love Australian men.
Oh, thank you very much. I hear they're very charming and handsome.
So, I've been to Australia before, and there's facts. There's facts that I can give about Australian men.
Try me.
100% of the Australian men that I know are all uncircumcised.
Hang on. No, I'm circumcised.
You are circumcised. And you're from there?
Yeah, I'm from Australia.
Okay, well, everyone that I've ever met in my experience down in Australia when I went to work, everyone was uncircumcised. And everyone fucks for like an hour straight. There is no quickies.
No.
I did not have one quickie down there. I literally got my brains fucked out for like an hour straight. And I was like, what the fuck do you guys put in the water in Australia? Because we need to give them to these guys in LA.
You're the second woman I've heard say that, like that exact phrase. What do they put in the water in Australia?
See?
In regards to the fucking Australian guy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what we do. I don't know.
Your
like,
guys are just
lots
like
of sunlight.
viral horses.
Sunlight. Lots of sunlight.
True. Brother's like, I'm going to go get some water.
That's a new business. I'm going to import Australian tap water.
You should. There's probably a whole, you could add that to your coaching program.
Yeah, maybe. Just drink
VIP.
Drink Australian tap water. That might be the. I actually can't think of what else it would be. You got me.
The water.
You got me.
Right? Like the whatever the minerals or whatever the vitamins that are in it or something.
I think our food's a lot healthier than American food.
Yeah.
Could be that too.
Because Jesus fucking
It helps
Christ.
keep you, rocking and rolling.
Insane.
Yeah. Where was I? Yeah. Did the swinger scene for several years in Australia.
Okay.
We all good? Didn't break anything? Cool. Yeah, did that. As a single guy, by the way. I wasn't in a couple. Didn't have a girlfriend or anything. I just kept meeting unicorns and getting invited to parties and stuff. Did that for a while. Met a few girls in that industry who were both escorts and had dabbled a little bit in porn in Australia. And over the course of literally over the course of a couple of years, I had multiple women say, you should try doing the escort thing. You should try doing the porn thing. You'd be pretty good at it. And so eventually I was like, you know what? Screw it. I was in good shape, got some photos done. It's legal in Australia, so you can advertise and stuff.
Oh, Dan, we should have had some photos of him in his prime time.
Prime. I'm in my prime. What are you talking about?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen you with your shirt off, so.
No, I looked way better before. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm in my prime still. Okay. Did that. And then I was like, I'll give this a try. Did the escorting thing, ended up getting a few wealthy female clients as regulars.
Yes.
Did that for a number of years. Learned
I'm here for it.
learned that whole process. And then I eventually got into the porn scene in Australia, which is a very small kind of, more not really amateur, but they still make money, but it doesn't make money like it does here in LA. And then I ended up, kind of getting out of the swinger scene, getting out of the escorting stuff and focusing on porn. Worked in Australia. Then went to England, worked in England, then got flown out to Europe by some pretty big companies.
How is the porn scene in England?
It's really fun. It's really fun, but it's a lot of little amateur kind of studios, like semi-pro studios. Although you do have over there, you've got guys like Danny D and stuff cranking out Brazzers scenes all the time. So there's some big studios there too.
Danny D's out there?
Yep. Yeah, he's English. So, and then you got fake taxis from there. Some pretty big names that started in England, and then, but they also shoot the same stuff in Europe as well. Okay. So there's lots of work in Prague and Budapest, shot out there for ages. And then I eventually made my way to LA, and I got an agent out here, and cranked out work out here. And did that. So basically, in total, I was in the porn scene for 5-ish years. Okay. Officially, and then when COVID hit 2020, I decided to try my luck. Started writing a book, branched out, started coaching guys a little bit, and it took off. Started a YouTube channel that took off quite well as well. And I just saw I was making more money helping guys get over their bedroom problems than I was making before. And I was like, well, this is, I don't know. I looked at it as kind of like a sign in a way, from God, from universe, however you want to look at it.
Your next level.
The more I helped people, the more money I was making, the more success I had, the more attention I was garnering. Everything was growing in a positive direction, which tells me okay, this is a message that guys wanted. Specifically, guys need help with erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation.
All my ex's phone numbers. I'm gonna add them to your email list.
It's a bit harsh. But feel free. Check out my YouTube channel. Go right ahead.
Oh,
But yeah, that's how I ended up here on this chair.
right. You know what's interesting? I was thinking the other day because I'm in this whole manifesting my soulmate and what I want to create, and I'm thinking like I really do want the perfect man, like rich, buffed, ripped, like fucking like famous, like spiritual, fucking loving, and amazing in bed,
and loyal.
And loyal. And you know what? For me,
that's
loyal,
a tough one.
When people say loyal, I think I might have a different idea because I'm not a jealous person. I'm not jealous. Like there's nothing about me jealous. Like we could check out women together. You know, if we're somewhere I don't know, go to a strip club and she wants to come, I'll get you lap dances. Like if it's birthday, I'll fucking hire 10 bitches to come give him a blowjob. Like,
oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Like,
that's,
you know what I mean?
that was not my.
So my
when
thing,
I was thinking of loyal when I heard
loyal, I always think like, oh, like he has to just be with one woman. Like loyalty to me is like you're committed to our relationship.
Right.
You're committed to respecting me, to honoring me, to taking care of me, and adoring me and loving me. So when I think of that, that's what I think of. To me, it's not a monogamy thing.
Got it.
You know, because if he's I don't know, if he just happens to be, let's say, in a 2-month business thing, I don't know, somewhere in Australia, and I'm not in town, like I'll be like, okay, babe, like I'm gonna hire you some bitch to come over, suck you off, you know, give you a little sucky, and like, you know, go about the rest of your day for the weekend. Like I really don't
very generous of you.
I don't expect him for 60 days to like not get his fucking dick sucked. Like to me, that doesn't make sense.
Well, you know what the weird thing is that even though most like the vast majority of people are in monogamous relationships, right? Vast majority of monogamous relationships. Even dudes who are in marriages, long-term relationship, whatever, they'll still consume pornography. So they, you know, on the sly, every now and then when she, it's very, very rare for a monogamous relationship to be where the guy is in that relationship, he's never consumed porn a little bit on the side every now and then. And or especially if he's a businessman, like a very busy, a wealthy guy who's traveling a lot. He's never engaged in like escorting or whatever at some point. Also super rare.
Very rare.
So it's the idea that all these relationships are technically monogamous is a bit iffy, right? It's a bit of once you start factoring in these things, it becomes a bit more gray. Like, and I think that's because men primarily have a desire for, like, an instinctual desire for access. Let's just at least say access to multiple women. They can still love one woman. They can still be loyal to one woman in the way you described it, right? But there is that urge in us, that kind of primal urge in us to have a bit of strange on the side,
right?
Every now and then, you know, and denying that is where I think men and women can get a bit, you know, combative, and there can be a bit of tension and friction in relationships.
And that is because obviously, you know, I've worked as an escort, I've worked as a porn star. I know how to have fucking sex, and I know how to make love.
Right.
I know how to compartmentalize them.
They're different, yeah.
So I think, you know, like for a lot of sex workers, it's a little different for us where I understand, like, if he's, you know, at his boy's bachelor party in Vegas and, you know, they hired some girl and she's sucking everyone off and they're all standing there, the dick's out. Get your dick sucked, babe. Like, enjoy yourself. I don't feel in any way that my man's going to leave me. Now, of course, there's always going to be boundaries. We're going to have discussions on what's okay and what's not okay. But at any time, if we're in a bad place relationship-wise, of course, I'm not going to allow that because I'm already in fear of losing this person or in fear, you know, there's a problem. But when things are really good and, you know, I'm feeling like confident in everything, it's never an issue to me because I know how to have sex and not be present. Like sex is sex.
You're able to separate those two things, which is, I'll be honest, that's actually rare for the average woman. I mean, given your background, my like similar background to me, it makes sense. You wouldn't have been able to do the careers you've done if you couldn't have compartmentalized things like that. Exactly. Right? And that's the common trait for every woman that's been in the sex industry is they're able to do that. They're able to, well, most of them, the ones who actually stick to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of girls I've known who've gone in the industry and they're out within like 3 to 6 months because they're not able to compartmentalize that. And those women shouldn't have even, ideally, they would have known themselves a bit better, and I think they shouldn't have even gone down that path.
100%.
If that's not the kind of person they are, then it's going to be a really rough ride for them.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I know as well, you know, sometimes like some of the guys in the industry who are porn will be like, oh, there's this new girl. She wants to learn this and that. Like, you know, like everyone knows, like, you're the queen of this, you know, can I ever call you? So immediately the first thing I always say is don't ever do anything that you're not okay with.
Yeah.
Period. I was like, this isn't an industry. Like, if you're like in need of money, like need, and you're doing it out of need, it's going to fuck you up in the brain.
Completely.
Because it's not soul aligned.
Completely.
Like, do what you want to do because you're out here and you want to create a name and a brand, and you see where you're going to go in the future with it, and you're okay with everything. I go, but if you're not okay, I'm like, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be really quick. It's going to be a short-lived career where you're just going to go, shkoom. And I always say that, like, just follow what you want to do. Don't do it because you have to do it.
Yeah.
There's 100 other things you can be doing.
Yeah. That was very, very common, at least in Europe, when I was shooting in Europe. Super common for girls to come in just for the monetary aspect, because relatively to what they would be getting paid, say, in Prague or in Hungary, relative to the wages are fantastic.
True, right.
And they were able to, like, make it, for them, 3 to 6 months was enough money for them to sort of
take care of their family or whatever.
Take care of their families and do something outside of the industry like that. But you could just tell working with them that they were in it purely for the money, and it was a quick, like, transactional in and out thing. They weren't able to separate it, like you just said.
Yeah. So what I ended up finding was, shoot, was it my early 30s? My early 30s, I had to learn how to be present in my body. Huh. I didn't know how to make love.
Right.
I didn't know how to be present. I didn't know how to, because what does that mean? I'm being vulnerable.
Yep.
Me, like, receiving you in on a vulnerable level was really uncomfortable. Like, staring someone in their eyes, kissing, all of that. So I remember when I was dating somebody, and he was just such a lover, and he would always tell me, like, can you not be a porn star?
Huh.
And I didn't know what that meant because I never was not.
Right.
Like, even in my marriage, like, we had porn star sex all the time.
Huh.
It was like intense, crazy porn star, like, passionate sex. It wasn't a really, like, a slow lovemaking thing. So I just really couldn't understand what he always meant by that. I was like, I remember being like, so you want me to just lie here? You want me to just lie here then? Like, go ahead then.
Well, that's very different from being present.
Yeah, and so I didn't understand it, and then I don't know. It was a time when we were together, and then he was just like, "I just open your eyes," and I was like, "Okay," and he's just like, "Just go slow. That's it." But keep staring me in the eyes, and literally in 30 seconds, I just started bawling and crying because I could feel him, like, in me, and I was like, "Ah," like, and I remember just crying, and then he was just holding me, and I was just like, that was so, like, it was so intimate, and he was like, "That is what making love is," and I was like.
What a powerful experience.
Can we do that again? Can we do that every single day nonstop? Because it was like all my cells in my body were having, like, little firecrackers. It wasn't just my clit going off. It was like every cell in my body, including my soul, had, like, little fireworks that were going.
You know what that is? That's oxytocin. That's your body. That's a big, like, chemical especially for women when it comes to what's called pair bonding.
Right.
Pair bonding is like the lame scientific term, basically, for falling in love. Right. Women fall in love through oxytocin. And what tends to happen
and I did.
And you
I
did.
was fucking psycho over him for 3 years.
But that's because you
not
there
psycho,
was,
but
there was an there was an
chased
element
him.
of you when you were having sex previously, at least was what it sounds like, where you were putting yourself in a state of mind that didn't allow you to have an oxytocin release.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with this guy, he brought you into the present, made you feel something, and that oxytocin dump happened in your brain during the act of sex, during climax or whatever, and that's what causes that pair bonding. And that's that is the default setting for sex with women. That's the default setting for the female body, is they pair bond very, very strongly through sex that way. And that's why women typically in the adult industry and sex work, they have to be able to compartmentalize those things and separate them. Otherwise, they fall in love with every single guy they had sex with, which is not practical. You can't do that. Also, what tends to happen is the more sexual partners a woman has, the easier it is for her to compartmentalize those things like that, and the less oxytocin release she'll get during sex, usually, if the number of partners increase.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you look at, for example, if you look at a woman who's a virgin, very often they will fall in love. Very often, not all the time, but very often they'll fall in love with the first guy they have sex with.
Right.
It's a very, very common experience. And that's because her brain is being dumped all this oxytocin she's pair bonding. She's falling in love with the guy, right? And that's kind of the female biochemistry of like sex and orgasms. It's not the only way you can have that pair bonding. You do it through like enjoying activity time together, enjoying quality time together, doing acts of service, like, you know, engaging in activities together and stuff, and being meaningful, having a meaningful relationship. Right. You get it from that too, but a very, very strong component of it is sexual as well.
100%. Yeah. Even now, you know, me working as like an energy worker and a healer, and you know, I have this ability where I can travel into different dimensions. And it's proven that when two people who are making love, who are interconnected, mind, body, and soul, when you're making love, the orgasm together, the vibrational frequency of two people at one time together, it can cause like the highest level of inertia, like a, what's the word? It causes a God consciousness. It's the closest anyone will ever physically get to God. So in Tantra, that's what they teach you. So two people together.
Orgasm at the same time.
Yeah, who orgasm at the same time, and you're making eye contact. You guys meditate together. And together, both of the energies, you end up breathing the same breath. You start, your heartbeats even match each other at some point. So then when you guys are orgasming, those two energies together, it's like another rib kind of being attached to you. You're able to literally travel into different dimensions. So I have the ability to do that. So when I am seeing somebody and I am in love, like when I let someone enter me, like my heart and my soul, because I can have sex, no problem. You're never going to enter me in that dimension. But when I let someone in and like I'm slow and I'm deliberate, I'm able to get the kundalini in my entire body to open us up into God. And during the orgasm, every single time, every guy is like, holy fuck, did you feel that? And I'm like, of course I felt that. I fucking took you there. But it wasn't a physical thing, get it? It's like through my soul, I was able to connect us into that different dimension, which I already can go through all the time. So when you learn about Tantra, like Tantra for me was like a huge thing because I had to learn how to reconnect to my body. I had to reconnect to God, and like that it wasn't a bad thing. So now like I can't do casual sex. For that reason, the pair bonding, is that what you called it?
Yeah.
So because of the pair bonding, like if I'm dating somebody, I have to be really careful because if I let you in like that, when we get to that level, the oxytocin release, I'm an addict. I'm a fucking addict. I'm a drug addict. Like, let's not even say alcoholic. Like, I'm a drug addict. That feeling to me is 10 times any drug or alcohol I can ever have. And I can stay there for like 15 minutes after in that dimension, just swirling. And I could feel it. And I literally every time, and I'll be like, I love you. But I'm not in love, but the feeling, and I want it again, and I'm going to want it again. And I will connect with that person thinking I'm in love.
That's powerful.
So I'm very intentional now when I do in my personal life. Like
when you go through that whole process.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's really interesting is I've said I give this advice to guys all the time, right? Is to be more vocal, right? And I remember having this conversation with a couple of women before, and I said, how do you feel? You talked about like orgasming at the same time as your partner. Most people don't have that experience. It's actually not that. It's nowhere near as common as we would want it to be,
right?
Because it creates that very intense experience for both of you together. And I've had that conversation with women before. I've said, how if you're having sex with a guy and you're both really into it, and he verbally tells you he is about to come, a lot of the times that will trigger a woman into orgasm, right? Because there's a big part of like what I call like the female sexual ego. There's a big part of that is tied to her ability to get her man off. And you know that because when the opposite happens, when a woman isn't unable to make a man orgasm, a lot of the time she'll develop some kind of a bit of a complex. She'll start to feel a little bit insecure. Maybe not a woman who's as experienced as you, but a woman who's somewhat less experienced in that regard. She'll feel a bit insulted.
Yeah, I would be.
Yeah. So like it's again, I call it the female sexual ego. It's very much tied to that they feel a sense of pride. They feel beautiful. They feel attractive when they're able to get their man off in that regard. And guys, just be a bit more verbal, guys. Don't be afraid to express it and let her know when she's really getting you off. Yeah. Because what you'll find, especially if it's during penetration or whatever, if you let her know in advance, and you're both kind of on that journey together, you'll have a very similar moment to this. Yeah. Maybe not necessarily to that degree that you've described, but you'll have a very, very similar experience to this with the two of you climaxing together.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to say like 90% of men don't say when they're going to come.
Just like pop out of nowhere.
You just kind of I could kind of just feel it get extra hard, and you can feel the little boom, 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 boom before it's gonna come out.
Pulsating.
Yeah, so that's the only way I can tell. But I always think like, why wouldn't you have said something? Like, what if I wanted to come with you?
Surprise.
You know, or like if or like that too. Like if I don't know, like usually when the girl's on top, it's less control for him.
Right.
Right. So if we don't slow down and you're gonna come, you're gonna fucking pop.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's like, why didn't you say like, hey, I was getting close to coming, and like jump off or slow down? They just like sit there like fucking animals, and I'm just like, bro, like I didn't even get off yet. Like it's been 3 minutes. Like you could have at least said slow down or kiss me, something to like I'm gonna come, like slow down or something.
I feel like a lot of guys, at least from my experience with clients and stuff, guys are very timid when it comes to like talking in the bedroom or saying anything or making any noise. A lot of guys get like a bit insecure about it because a lot of dudes have watched like the default that guys go to is the shit we say in porn. That's like the default they go to when it comes to saying something like, you like that? Like that's always the go-to line.
At least it's something, shit.
Well, that's true. It is better than nothing, but it's disingenuous. It's not genuine. It's not real. It's not authentic, which is what you want to be authentic. Mm-hmm. And I think I try to give guys like frameworks of how to dirty talk. Let's just say you don't even necessarily have to call it dirty talk. You could just classify it as communicating in the bedroom, right? But I give guys like frameworks rather than like verbatim lines, because if you're using like you're just trying to copy a line that another guy said, if it's not you, it's disingenuous. It doesn't come across as congruent. It can be like awkward and a bit silly, and it kind of can ruin that passion you're trying to generate, right? So I tell guys a few different frameworks they can focus on. Is like, one is just describing what's happening, like amplifying her attention and her focus, like because if you get into a woman's ear during the act of sex, in a way you're kind of like it's like, okay, here's the analogy.
Chills up my neck.
Right. This is how powerful it is.
And it's the littlest things.
The analogy I like to use is like your brain, like you're driving your car by default. That's your brain. Your brain is your car, and you're in the driver's seat. When I come in and I start whispering in your ear and directing your focus, it's like I'm putting you in the passenger seat, and I'm now in the driver's seat, and I'm taking this where I want it to go. I'm directing your thoughts. I'm directing your focus and your attention where I want it to go. So maybe I'm directing it towards, I don't know, what my hand's doing on your clitoris. Maybe I'm directing your focus to what my mouth is doing, kissing up and down your neck. Or maybe I'm directing my focus to what my hand's doing on your breast, or whatever it is, or what my penis is doing inside you at that moment. I'm directing the focus just to get you to amplify it and get you present in the moment. Because women will get in their head a lot.
True.
And it's the number one thing that stops a woman from being at an orgasm is her being self-conscious, her not being present, her being in her head. So if I can step into the driver's seat of your brain, I will direct it where to go, rather than you directing it like to, I'm thinking about errands, or I'm thinking about does my tummy look fat like in this position? Does my breath stink?
Is he gonna close the lights or what?
Right. So that, because women's brains will often take them into that insecure route. So if I step in to the driver's seat instead, and I direct your brain where we in a good direction where we can both really enjoy it, and I can get you present, bang, dirty talk is like it's like taking the fast track lane to the orgasm. You skip all the traffic, all the 9 to 5 traffic. You go in like the carpool lane and you just fly down the freeway.
A guy whispering "fuck" in my ear. That shit's fucking sexy.
Simple. It's so simple. It's so simple too. Mm-hmm. It ain't that difficult. That's like one framework. Then you can get a bit more complicated. You can get into like commanding and leading kind of language as a guy, like telling a woman what to do, telling a woman what to do with her body. Put your hand here, get on your knees, bend over like this, open up, do this, do that. It's kind of directing her in a way, just taking control, taking the lead in that way, which puts women more into their feminine, puts them into their submissiveness.
Hell
right?
yeah.
And it puts you as the man more into your masculine, more into that leadership role. It helps to create that natural polarity between the masculine and the feminine, just through something as really simple and basic as directing her verbally during the act of sex. Really, really powerful. But guys,
Oh.
you take your moment. You take your time. Yeah, I like this. This is confirmation to me. Every time, because I like to be told I'm wrong when I'm wrong.
Right, yeah.
So if I sit here and describe something like this, and I have a woman like you sitting here nodding and agreeing and having those kinds of emotional reactions to what I'm saying, I know I'm on the money, and I know that what I'm telling guys is 100% correct.
Men, you need to get in this motherfucking program. And I really do feel there's a lot of I follow like a lot of coaches online, and to me, and I think it's one of the number one most important things in a marriage is sex. That's the connection of two people. Like, I always say, like, I'm like, when I'm in a relationship, like, I need to have sex every day. Like, my love language is physical touch.
Right.
So for me to make love, it's the way I show that's the only time like you're ever going to get my heart open, where I'm in full submission and I'm letting you into a place that no one else in the world ever comes into. And I'm giving you love. Yeah. You know, like I can't do that any other way, through words of affirmation, through quality time. Like, quality time is last on my list. Like, I hope my soulmate does not want quality time.
You're too busy.
I will be on my phone. Yeah, I got work to do. But you're next to me. I'll hold your hand.
Right.
Like, I'm happy. Like, you just hold my hand. Like, we don't even got to talk the whole fucking day. You held my hand. We're next to each other. We did our errands together. So to me, like, that works.
Yeah.
But I always say, like, at the end, like for me, and I think what changed a lot of marriages is, like, I'm not looking for a best friend to live in. Like I'm not looking for a best friend where you sleep in one room and I sleep in one room. Like, I'm looking for a soulmate, like a lover, like that passion, the desire. That's what a marriage is for, not for just, hey, you seem like you have money and you can take care of me, so let's just live together and say we're married. Like, that's just odd to me.
With no passion whatsoever.
Yeah.
Do you? I want to ask you this. Do you have many clients or experiences from people who follow your content where they'll be in a relationship and that passion, maybe they started off passionate, but over time, as the relationship goes on, the marriage goes on, that passion, that excitement starts to decline, and the sort of maybe the sex drive starts to like dwindle on the guy's part, or he's not as aggressive or spontaneous, and he doesn't initiate sex as often with the woman. Do you ever find that?
I don't think that's really big for the people that I've coached. Mine, a lot of it has been the girl hasn't been sexual from the beginning. So
she's not even remotely interested in sex with him.
And he ended up usually with her because of pregnancy, or high school sweetheart, or did the right thing because of something. Like, she's just a nice girl. Yeah. Like, that's all what I always hear.
That's interesting.
I never hear, I looked in her eyes, I fell madly in love, and we were amazing for so long, and now we fell off. I've never heard that.
Right.
I've never heard that.
So you get a lot of the situation where the woman isn't even really attracted to the guy. Because that's the thing. If a woman has desire for her man, she will want to have sex with him all the time. Mm-hmm. Like you literally just said it. Like, if you're in love with a guy, you're in a relationship with a guy, you want to have sex with him every day. Mm-hmm. That should be like the default setting, I think. But very often, in some cases, it might start out like that. If they were high school sweethearts or whatever, right? It might have started that way at some point, and then eventually she falls out of love with him. She falls out of attraction with him, and there's a lot of things that can go into this, but a lot of the time, it's just she doesn't see him as the best option anymore. She doesn't see him anymore as the most attractive guy that she can.
It sounds like he probably got fat.
This is possible. She could have also got fat too. There's also possible.
Well, I think both sides.
But it's a combination of complacency, like he's taking, because men have to, like, it's kind of a shitty reality, but men have to work all the time. We get kind of lied to in the sense of like, oh, you find someone, you fall in love with them, you get married, and no more work. that ain't how it works. Like, relationships are work. Like, maintaining attraction from a woman is work. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be like deliberate work if you structured your life in a certain way, and if you're a certain man who's ambitious and who is ambitious, competitive, is trying to make money, is trying to network all the time, is hitting the gym all the time. Well, then by default you're going to constantly be attractive, right? But a lot of guys, they kind of get complacent. They let that slide. They let that slip. They let their health slip a lot, and that's a big part. If you, as a man, especially if you get older, like I'm in my 30s, as you approach that, if you let your health fall by the wayside, you're going to lose a lot of your testosterone. You're going to lose a lot of your sex drive. That's a big one. If your diet is off, that's going to happen too.
That's even okay. That's not even an excuse, because there's testosterone shots motherfuckers could take.
That is true.
So you can't say, oh, I'm just not, my testosterone's low. Bro, I will shoot you up personally. Give it over here.
That's a good wife. That's a good wife. Just,
I need it hard.
Jab him in the butt every day.
I need it rock hard.
Well, that's not the only thing. Testosterone does play a big role in the male sex drive.
His mood, his energy.
Yes.
His being happy.
His ambition, his drive. It does play a massive role in it. There is, however, there's two other brain chemicals that really play a significant role in the male sex drive. And these two are prolactin and dopamine. And they actually have...
Prolactin.
Yeah. So oddly enough, prolactin
like 3 words here we need to add to my vocabulary.
The vocabulary? I hope everyone's learning from
I love it. I love learning new
well,
words.
Prolactin is actually... In women, prolactin causes women to lactate.
Oh, that's what I thought. It sounded familiar.
But men have it as well.
Really?
Yeah. So men secrete prolactin when they orgasm. The prolactin is what causes what's known as the male refractory period. So like the time a dude needs off between, like he's busted a nut, and that time he needs off before he can get hard again and go again, that's called the refractory period. That is dictated by this chemical called prolactin, which happens when a dude jizzes. He gets a brain dump of prolactin. It causes that kind of like sleepy, lethargic, cuddly, lovey-dovey kind of feeling in a guy. And like he wants to just roll over and go to sleep. That's caused by prolactin. Now, there's an inverse relationship between prolactin and dopamine in the male brain. So when prolactin is high, dopamine is low. And when dopamine is high, prolactin is low. So you can actually biohack this as a guy. There's a few different things you can do, lifestyle-wise and supplement-wise, that will reduce your prolactin levels in your bloodstream and in your brain, which will also conversely increase your dopamine. It'll make you, it'll increase your sex drive massively. It'll reduce your refractory period, and it might even make you multi-orgasmic depending upon your natural blood levels of prolactin.
Went over my head. Say that one more time.
It might make you multi-orgasmic.
No, before that.
So, if we can supplement with the right stuff,
okay,
we can reduce the amount of prolactin in the man's brain and in his bloodstream. When we do that, his sex drive shoots up. And his refractory period, the time he needs between orgasms, shoots down.
Is there a pill for this?
There's a bunch of there's a few different supplements that I'm actually
Can I buy them now?
I have actually formulated, I'm no joke, I've actually formulated a supplement around this because it's based upon what I used to supplement myself with before I would shoot scenes.
Men, they need a coach with you. They need to buy this.
Oh yeah, I also have a chemistry degree. I didn't know if I told you that.
A what?
A chemistry degree.
It figures, you know a lot of big words.
I do know some big words. That is true. That is true. Yeah. So
I've never heard of these words in my life.
Before I'm not a doctor. I have an honors degree. I didn't do a PhD. I did an honors thesis as a university student before I got into all this sort of stuff. So I was actually a published scientific author before I graduated too. So
that is so cool. Science was my favorite subject in school. I was excellent in it.
Good.
Horrible at math, but excellent in science. I was always wanting to understand like how things worked.
Yep.
So science is all about that.
Exactly.
Which I feel like, because I'm obsessed with quantum physics, which is science and the energies and everything. So interesting.
Very exciting stuff. I always looked at it. I felt like I was a wizard.
Yeah.
That's why I like chemistry. It was my kind of.
I always say that too. Like I always say, like when I'm speaking, I always say like I'm a magician.
Right.
Because if you understand energy and the cells, like on quantum physics, you can create and alter energy and minds and belief systems through energy. So we are magicians. The same thing. You said wizard. I always say I'm a magician.
I always just imagined like someone with a pot, like stirring and like mixing things together. That's kind of that's what it was like as a chemistry student. Anyway,
sometimes I'm a witch.
Aha! See, there we go.
Sometimes I'm a witch. You know where I got that from, right? Soul Train. You remember Soul Train?
No, I don't remember this.
Oh, okay. I'm older than you. Oh, well, wait. Also, too, it was in America.
It's an American.
Like in
Sounds like an American
the
thing.
70s,
Yeah.
there was a show where they had like all the rappers on and singers, like Diana Ross and everything. They'd come on. It was on Saturdays, and it was a big dance club, and it was called Soul Train. And every single kid, everyone, like Saturday morning, like you'd sit at your TV just to be watching it. It was like an MTV kind of back then.
Yep.
And every like singer back then was on, like everybody. And then they used to have this big old conga line, and you used to go down the middle and dance. So they had like all the best dancers in the 70s doing these cool little tricks down. But that's where I get Soul Talk. Because
like
Soul Train was really good.
That's where you ripped it from.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, so what do you do now? Tell us.
Well, now I teach guys how to overcome things like premature ejaculation. I teach them how to overcome things like, increase their sex drive. Teach them how to get more stronger, reliable erections. Teach them how to get their woman off. Teach them how to dirty talk. Teach them how to be more of a dominant, passionate lover. Primarily, that's what I try to focus on is that area of, a lot. What I found was that a lot of sex advice floating around the internet is typically more aimed towards women, first of all. And when it comes to the guy stuff, there's not a lot of people walking around with like super like practical advice, like supplement with this and this, and your bone is going to be okay. Supplement with this and this, your sex drive's going to go up. Supplement with this and this, your testosterone's going to go up. Or adjust these things in your lifestyle, and all these hormones in your body are actually going to perform a lot better. But then on top of that, like, here's like the psychology of why women like dirty talk. Here's the psychology of why women like it when you pull their hair, right? Or erotically choke them or spank them. Here's the psychology behind this stuff, right? And I think, because a lot of guys are quite, especially younger guys, are kind of, honestly, they're kind of afraid these days, due to, I mean, not that it's super relevant to them, but they think it is, due to things like the Me Too movement and stuff. A lot of younger guys kind of got the impression that they have to be super timid with women and not really be in their masculine. So they're kind of like self-feminizing in a way and self-censoring in a way when it comes to being sexual with women, because they're afraid of rejection and they're afraid of potentially getting, like, I don't know, some unwanted allegation or something. So they kind of hold back and they don't think it's possible to be that dominant, passionate guy in a way that women find very, very receptive. So my goal is to try and explain how they can do that in a way that women love, women respond very positively to, but in a way that is also very obviously consensual and obviously not pushing anyone's boundaries where they don't want to be pushed. Yeah. Now, a lot of that involves reading body language, understanding women's body language, understanding, like, you know, when it's a positive sign or when it's a negative sign. Let me give you a really practical example. Like when it comes to, let's say, erotically choking a woman, right? You don't know, as a guy. Not every girl is into that. Some girls are really into that. Some girls are not into it at all. Right. Especially if they've had a very traumatic experience in the past. Exactly. It's 100% no-go situation, right? Mm-hmm. So, but also, completely true. I think it does kind of spoil the magic a lot of the time if two people sit down and kind of go through like a consent checklist in advance. Right. It makes things too dry, too routine, too predictable. It takes away the excitement of the unknown, right? That, you know, if you're ever with someone for the first time and they do that thing you like without you having to tell them, that's sexy as hell. It's super, super sexy. Right. And the only way you can do that is through understanding body language and sub-communications and things like that. Rather than, I feel like that's a far better way than overtly verbalizing everything in advance. Because, again, I think that takes away a lot of this sexual tension that you can have. So let's say, for example, right, with erotically choking a woman, one of the things I teach guys, you want to baby step up to a certain point so you can gauge in advance whether she's into it or not. So, for example, simply just place a hand here as a guy. Just place it on the collarbone, not on the neck, just lower on the collarbone, and then gauge her reaction to that. If she starts to tense up, that's a big sign that you don't want to push this any further. You don't want to go up here and not even squeeze, not even do anything. you don't even want to put your hand on the neck. If you're putting a hand on a woman's collarbone and she's tensing up, it's probably an indication that she's had a somewhat of a bad experience with that, or was not into it at all.
Right.
However, if you put your hand there and she starts to she grabs your hand and moves it towards her neck, or she starts to wriggle down closer towards your hand, all right, that's probably a green light, right? But then we can also babysit. We can take 2 steps forward, 1 step back a little bit. We can put our hand there, not squeezing, and just rest it there and see how she responds. Does she get doe-eyed and kind of dreamy looking? Does she tense up? Does she grab your hand and move it away? Cool.
Yeah, does her hip stop moving?
Yes.
She freezes.
Yeah, so these are ways that you can, this is just one example, right? But these are ways as a guy you can gauge a woman's interest in these things in a way that actually makes her trust you more, because you're showing very clearly that you understand her body language and you can read it. And so she can feel safe with you. She can say no to you, not just verbally, but non-verbally, and you will get it instantly, and you will not cross. You are never going to cross that line because you recognize it before it even happens. That's powerful. That allows a woman to really feel safe with a guy, because there's an element of, let's say, dominant sex, which also creates a lot of trust between a man and a woman. Because in a subtle way, in a subconscious way, if a guy, let's say, is able to let's assume everything that you're doing with a guy is consensual and you're into it,
right?
Let's just make that assumption off rip. If he's tossing you around, spanking you, pulling your hair, doing some freaky shit, tying you up a little bit here and there, whatever, a lot of that sub-communicates that he is strong and he's a protector, which means that he can protect you. The whole idea of dominant sex is, in a way, a sub-communication of his ability to protect you primarily, his ability to protect and provide for you as his woman. So if a bear comes along, if a grizzly bear comes along, he can shoo it away. If another dude comes along and he's trying to take rob you guys or cause anyone any harm, you or the kids or anyone in the family, he can protect you. He can step up and protect you. And that's what women find incredibly attractive and comforting, and makes them feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, would you disagree with me at all? I'd love some pushback on it.
I do think that's a sensitive issue, the
Definitely.
neck thing. Because I know I get nervous if it's someone I'm not dated. If somebody does it immediately.
Yeah.
If it's just soft, if it's in a gentle way, even then I get a little nervous because I don't know if it's gonna get hard, if it's gonna go harder. Because my experience with men is, when men are jacking off, they're used to having a strong grip.
Right.
So sometimes, if a guy's rubbing my clit and he's going hard, I already know he has a strong grip. And men don't really understand how strong they are.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So a woman's nipple, guys want to suck on it and they're like, and I'm like, bro, I'm a woman. Yeah. I'm a woman. Slow down. Be gentle. I'm not your cock or your ball. Treat me like your balls. You don't slap your balls around. I need you. So men are just happen to be very strong.
It's a good analogy. I like that.
They don't realize how strong they are. So a lot of times, if someone's sucking them hard, I'm always like, okay. So I think my fear is a professional guy who's a dom who does BDSM work. I would feel comfortable, right? Because I know that he knows the limits.
Bingo. Of
okay, well, how long do I leave it here without her passing out? I can take it all the way to even where there's a slight pass out, and then he knows how to move his hand and then stimulate the clit. So I'm back. I come back.
Yep.
Because my little fear is, if he does it too long, I will pass out.
Yeah.
And he's not going to know how to bring me back. But a professional dom, a BDSM person, does know how to do that. So.
But he gets there through experience, right?
Correct.
He gets there through experience. And at some point, he didn't have any experience. When he started,
thank God it wasn't with me.
Right. No, but which is a fair reaction.
True.
But guys, for guys to get to that point, they have to start somewhere.
Somewhere, correct.
Right? And I try to be that guy that can at least baby step them into. I'm not telling them to go go from 0 to 100, right?
Well, that's what
I don't want a guy to go from that.
Men don't understand how strong they are.
Yeah.
He might think, oh, look at because I might be like, oh yeah, so he might start to go harder. out of being excited.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
yes, yes.
oh yeah, she likes it. But I'm also a very communicative person in bed. Very communicative. If I don't like something, I'm gonna let you know. If I like something, I'm gonna say it's right there. You got it. Because I feel like a lot of men don't know.
Yeah.
And I want to come. I want you to please me. So I'm gonna say a little to the left, a little higher, oh softer. Oh my God, like my clit's connected to my body. Like stop sucking it so fucking hard, bro. Like, you know, like yeah. So so if somebody does do that, I can already like I'll if it's somebody I trust, I'll submit to it and I'll go with it. But a lot of times I can tell they don't know when to let go, and I'll always put my hand hand on his wrist softly. So when he's doing it, I'll be like, oh yeah. But when I feel like okay, now I need to breathe,
You can gauge it.
I'll pull it off.
Yep.
But yeah.
That's like, again, that's just one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a more extreme example. I use that as an extreme example because that's one that is very often quite triggering for some women, right? And so with other stuff like how to pull a girl's hair properly, how to not like yank it and like you know, just make it hurt rather than making it feel nice and create that like kind of like submissive relaxed sensation, right? That's a if a guy can do that, right?
It is an art.
It's an art to
It's
it, right?
an art.
But there's an art to a lot of these things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like technicality in the execution of some of these things, which a lot of guys who have had a lot of sexual experience, they've done it and they've figured it out just through that experience, right? So I'm able to. I consider myself to be a good teacher. Yeah. And I'm able to take a guy who's not very sexually experienced.
Prove it.
Not sure how I'm going to do that right now, but in the middle of the living room.
And the BTS will be an OnlyFans. No.
But the idea is, like, let me give you an example. Like one of my, I screenshot every testimonial I get, every email I get, every DM, every comment I get from somebody who's taken my material and they've had some success. I just constantly screenshot it. And if anyone's
them on your stories.
Yeah, I post them all the time on my stories.
And I always think like, thank God for you.
Because
I mean, me as also a brand and entrepreneur, I'm always looking at how you do it. I'm reactive when you post those. I react because testimonials are huge.
Yeah,
that's what draws people in, and when I listen to it, like you said, like I understand also what the girl wants, and I'm like, fuck yeah, get it, Cooper.
Yeah.
Tell him what the fuck's
up. I'm getting testimonials from women now saying like, thank you for teaching my boyfriend this.
That's huge.
But one of the first ones I ever got when I started was actually a guy who was literally, he'd been with one other woman. And he took, I taught him how to eat pussy.
Oh, yeah.
I gave him like a step-by-step kind of breakdown of exactly how we do it. And a lot of it, you actually said a lot of things I teach where you were like, what you do it naturally, where you guide the guy.
Yeah.
Like there's one thing I teach guys is a great starting point is you tell your woman she's only allowed to say 4 things. If you're going down on it. Those 4 things are harder, softer, faster, slower.
Yes, Daddy.
You can only right.
Yes, Daddy.
Okay, there's a couple of reasons why I do it that way.
Right.
One, because of that reaction you just gave me. It's like a submissive, dominant setup in a way, which is sexy.
Super
for a man
sexy.
to tell you what you can and can't do, right? That's a sexy thing. 2, it gives you, the woman, the correct language to communicate to me. Because what guys often do, they'll say, "Do you like that?"
Yeah, they do.
By default, a woman is not going to try and bruise a man's ego. So by default, even if he's doing a shit job, she's going to say, yeah, that feels good. Like, she's not going to give you honest feedback, right? But harder, softer, faster, slower gives you the tools the man needs to adjust his tempo and his pace so he can get you to that sweet spot and make you orgasm, right? So I taught this to a guy who'd had one other girl. And then he did this with the next girl or the girlfriend he was seeing at the time. And she would not believe him. She refused to believe that he'd only been with one other woman. She was like, you must have had 10 girlfriends. You must have. Yeah. No guy could do that if he hadn't. So what I'm trying to do is take what's in my brain and download it into like guys who are lesser experienced than me, so they can do things with a lot more confidence in the bedroom, which makes women feel safe too.
Yes.
And
100%.
Get their partner off. Get their wife off. Get their girlfriend off.
Oh, I love you. I love you. My experience sexually, the guys that I've had mind-blowing sex with, first time around, like literally hit my motherfucking spots, were like kind of random, basic guys that I was like, like literally like multi-orgasmed. And I swear to God, so the first time this ever happened, I think it was in my 20s. And he was, I think he was like a Marine, and I was on the base, and we were in his room, and he was just like some regular guy, and we were drinking, whatever. But I literally, mind you, he was like, it was just like a drunk moment, and like a friend of ours. And after I had so many fucking back-to-back orgasms, like he hit the spot nonstop that I had to be like, whoa, bro, okay, like I can't even catch my breath anymore. And I remember afterwards being like, what? Like, how did you know this? Like, I know you don't have experience. He said he read a book. And then I've had probably 2 other experiences like that. Like on the first time was crazy. And the first thing I said was, let me guess, you read a book on it. Yeah. Both of them said, yes, I studied it.
Yeah.
And I feel like can every man get in your program, please?
Well, sex is a learnable skill.
It is.
Like anything else. It's like learning to ride a bike. It's like learning to drive a car. Like once you know the mechanics of the female body, once you know what buttons to push, once you know how to read body language, you can learn all this stuff.
A lot of men don't. Like I don't see anything wrong with like, why wouldn't a guy just like take a fucking course on it? Even if he thinks he's amazing, even if you think you're amazing in bed, why would you not want to be like, maybe I don't like learn to like increase your fucking.
It's fun. It's super fun as a guy to get
flexibility to control. Like, imagine being able to control me. Not a lot of men can control me, but being able to control me in bed where I have to tap out.
Right.
Come on, bro. Only one guy in my life has ever made me tap out. Ever.
There's nothing that will give you a bigger confidence boost as a man.
Yeah.
Than knowing a woman's body better than she does.
Yes.
And knowing how to control it.
No, literally, where I'm just like, I didn't even know that. How did you know that was there? Yeah, and it's so simple. Get a coach.
It ain't that simple. It's not that complicated. And you could learn it a lot faster than you think. It doesn't take a lifetime. You don't have to have as much sexual experience as I've had to learn the things I know. And I can teach it, and it's just,
do we have his website address?
StirlingCooper.com is where you'll find all my stuff.
Brother, do we have his website address up by any chance? Okay.
Yeah, Instagram works.
So if you go to his Instagram, click the link.
Yeah.
Is it in the link? Yeah. And you can hire him as your coach. I'm going to hire him for my next boyfriend's coach.
I'll sit in the corner and like call plays.
I'm all doing secret things. I'm like, he needs to go that way. You're like, to the left, bro. I'm like, thanks, coach. Oh my God.
I actually had a guy in Dubai ask me to do literally that. He offered to fly me out to, no joke, he offered to fly me out to Dubai to sit in the corner while he was banging his missus and like coach him on it. I turned him down.
Okay, when that happens,
I turned him down.
Tell him that I'll coach with the woman.
Yeah.
Fly us in together.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll both sit there
I'll teach her how to gag on the cock without actually throwing up.
Oh my God.
How to eat the ass the right way.
I'll teach him how to like not bust immediately and chill out, relax, compose, stay composed.
I'm like, okay,
enjoy
now moan.
Enjoy it.
Tell him you like it.
Power couple. If I do, next time I've got some ideas for some live events. I'm bringing you in.
Definitely.
This would be amazing.
I would love that.
Be an amazing combination.
Yeah. It's fun.
I'll stop. I'll shut up then. Sorry.
I did love the conversation. Mm-hmm.
I love the sound of my own voice, so I'm good.
I love it. I love it.
Did you have to? You didn't have to ask any questions. Ask any questions. You didn't have to ask any questions. You started. Before we went live, you were like,
"Are you in a relationship now?"
No, not yet.
Last relationship?
I'm scouting. Let's say I have a contender. I have a top contender right now. Let's say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And question. So with that, do you have any rules? Like, you don't have sex the first time. Do you have any specific rules with when you're in your own personal life?
Not about like, I don't have any like hard and fast rules about when we have to have sex. No.
What do you think about a woman having sex on the first night? I think this is a huge one we've had.
Yeah, I actually have zero problem with it. I've had lots of numerous relationships, not all of them, but like at least a handful of the relationships I've been in where we had sex on like the first or second date and it turned into a relationship.
That doesn't.
It's not a judgmental thing for me. You know what's interesting? So I do see this argument especially on Twitter. I see this online a lot, where guys will say, "Oh, you wouldn't get in a relationship with a woman who sleeps with you on the first day because that means X, Y, Z things about her." Right? Here's the way I interpret it. And this might sound kind of arrogant, but the way I interpret a woman sleeping with me on the first date is, this is a smart woman. Like. She knows how to back a good horse. She sees the potential. She's like, I want to lock this guy down. I don't want. He's a busy man. I don't want to waste his time and be a cock tease or whatever. Not saying that's necessarily a bad thing either, but
right.
I don't know. It's like, to me, like as a guy, if a woman sleeps with you on the first date, I think you shouldn't look at it as like, oh, she's a floozy. She's I don't know. She's a slut or whatever by default. The way I look at it is like, oh yeah, I'm that attractive as a guy.
Yeah.
I'm that man.
Yeah.
That would make a woman who wouldn't normally do this, which has happened quite a lot to me.
Yeah.
A woman who wouldn't normally sleep with a guy on the first or second date, they do with me.
Right.
Because I am obviously attractive to her.
Right.
So that should be a confidence boosting thing for yourself.
Definitely.
And not a like degrading thing for her, I don't think.
Love it. We need men to start viewing from that belief system.
Like you can doesn't mean you have no standards or boundaries as a guy. It doesn't mean you're not looking for women to meet your criteria. Like there's certain certain behaviors, character traits, whatever that you are looking for and screening for to have a woman be your girlfriend or your wife. Doesn't mean you throw that out the window.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if she meets all those things, don't throw it out the window if she just happened to sleep with you early on.
Right. Yeah.
Those two things can coincide together.
Perfect.
Very, very easily.
And what is the longest you would wait for someone to not have sex?
If
she said,
I've spent 3-4 months casually pursuing a woman before. Yeah.
Really?
Not we're not seeing each other like every other day. We're seeing each other like every 2 or 3 weeks. We're going on a date or something.
No sex.
Yeah.
And you're and that's
like for 3 months.
Oh. Yeah. Wow. I don't think I've ever.
But I don't have a problem. But that's the thing. Sex doesn't like. I've had enough sex in my life where it has no power over me anymore.
Right.
And that's a big difference. The average guy, sex has a lot of power over them. I think once you're it takes different levels of experience for men to feel confident and comfortable with that and have sex lose that power over them. For some men, it's quite a lot of experience. For other men, it's not so much sexual experience. Right. But that sex at a certain point of experience as a man, especially as you get older as well, you start to not really care as much about it. It doesn't have the same power over you as a guy who doesn't have access. It doesn't have very many options. So yeah, I don't have a problem. I'll just the other night, a girl wanted to sleep with me, and I told her I didn't want to sleep with her because she was too drunk. Like me in my 20s probably would, because I was drunk too, to be fair. But like me in my 20s, that would have been that's like an average college hookup, right? But me now, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do this. Yeah, you're a lovely girl. I would happily be with you if you were sober. But we've both just got a bit too boozy. That's fine. I'm not in a rush. We could this doesn't have. It's not like the clock. It's not a shot clock ticking down where I have to take the. We have to make this happen right now. No, I'm okay with not having sex. I don't have to have it. That's most guys can't really get to that point unless they feel like they have abundance with women. They feel like they have options with women. Mm-hmm. It's very hard for a guy to get to that point. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What do we have here that's fun?
When you came with a big list of stuff, I was expecting to get interrogated. I was like, there's going to be some juicy stuff in here.
Okay, yeah. So we just have them because usually people usually don't talk longer than 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay.
So try to shut me off.
This isn't even on here. But what time do we have?
Hour and 20, so it's 4 o'clock. 4:07.
Oh, it is. Okay. So let's okay, I'm gonna bring this up. We'll go on the subject. Okay. So my reels that do the best it's the subject, which I know you don't like the terminology, but high value women, high value men, low value men, low value women. Right. And to me, I just consider low is toxicity, people who are toxic. So my thing is a lot of times is like there are red flags.
Right.
Okay. So for you, right? When you are dating somebody, right? Or if let's say you are coaching somebody, what red flags are a hard no for you?
Right. That's a good question. For a woman I'm looking to date, right?
Mhm.
So one of the big ones for me is like being rude to waiters and wait staff.
Mhm.
That's an immediate red flag. I cannot stand that
Hard
stuff.
no.
Yeah, it's a hard no.
Okay.
Not exercising.
Hard no.
Woman has to be like not necessarily into sports, but she has to hit the gym and take care of it. She has to value her health. Let's say it that way. Let's say it that way. She has to value her health. So that means she values nutrition, eats right, and or exercises regularly.
100%.
For me, that's a massive. I tell you, it's a green flag. Like you take this either way. Like the not doing it is a red flag.
Right.
The doing it is a green flag. Right. I'd say a good relationship with her parents. Like doesn't have like a jaded relationship with her father, for example.
Right.
Has a healthy relationship with her father, with their brothers and sisters, having a family life like that. To me, that's a massive green flag.
Ooh,
So
nice.
if I see an absence of that,
Right.
to me it's a bit of a red flag. Not as strong as other ones, but it's a bit of a red flag.
Right.
Personally, a green. I'm saying more greens than reds because I and there's a reason for that. Is
Okay.
because I program my mind to look for the things I want,
Right.
not to look for the things I don't want. Because if you focus on the things you don't want, that's what you're going to attract.
Correct.
So I'm looking. I'm
Yeah.
focusing on the things I do want. So I'm
Okay.
going to bring that in my life. So I'm answering a question, but I'm not.
Let's do it.
What was I going with that? Yeah, I typically like a woman who's intelligent. Being intelligent or being curious and wanting to know about the world and how the way the world works. I look at that as a green flag because that's what I'm like. We'll have a million things to talk about, and I can show her things about the world. So a woman who has not as much worldly experience as me is a green flag. If a woman, I've traveled a lot. I've seen a lot of this planet, and I've done a lot of different careers, done a lot of different things. If a woman if I said, for example, if I started talking about like Dubai or I start talking about like London or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I've been here. Oh, I've been there," to me that's a red flag, right?
I've been both places.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah.
But would you? I mean, you're a successful entrepreneur who's been around for a long, like you've been doing this for ages. So it's like it's not a surprise to me, right? But if I'm dating like a regular woman,
right,
and she's saying she's throwing that stuff back at me, like. Or she's been there. I've got nothing. I can't show this woman the world. I can't do anything.
Right.
Like, as a guy, that's part of the fun of dating a woman is being able to show her new experiences, take her places, have her like wow her, like take her on a flight to the Bahamas, take her somewhere for the first time ever, and she gets to have an amazing experience because of me.
No, so that I believe that. I highly believe that. So like I'm manifesting my person. So part of my list is I have not gone to Maldives. I'm not sure how to say it.
Yeah.
I've not gone to Maldives. I've saved it. Because I have been around the world, right? Like anywhere I want to go, I just take myself. Me and my daughter go, we fly, we have a good time. But I was thinking like, I don't want my man when I get him to be like, baby, pick anywhere you want. And me be like,
been there.
Sorry, like I've been there. So I was like, what can I save? So there are certain Bora Bora, there's certain places I'm purposely, when everyone goes, my girlfriends are all going, I'm like, nope, can't go. Like, because
that's intelligent.
I do feel bad though at the fact that I've literally been everywhere around the world. I haven't been to Japan yet. There's a few places I haven't, but because I do think like when I meet him, he's gonna be like, "What the fuck? Like you've been everywhere. Like what can I offer you?" So
yeah, that's the thing.
It's interesting because I did keep those places, so at least I could be like, "I haven't been there."
That's clever. There's actually a very clever response to that. Having traveled so much, right? And you've like I said, you've taken yourself there because you're a successful woman. You got money. You're independent.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
No,
So,
all my trips. Yeah.
like you've done it yourself. And even if it applies both ways. Even if another dude or a previous boyfriend took her to all these places, or if she just took herself there by herself, either way, to me it's like, man, well, that's a bunch of experiences we can't have together now.
Yeah.
So there's just not as much ability to create like unique, memorable experiences together. Another green flag is wanting to have a family and kids, wanting to be a mother. For me, that's a green flag because I want to have kids. Affinity for animals. She has to like animals. It's a big one. I'm a big dog guy. I like dogs. I like all kinds of animals like that. I'm moving towards living. I actually just bought land like farmland, so I'm actually going to be like building a farm, and that's the kind of rural lifestyle I want. So she has to be kind of on board with that. I'm thinking like long term,
Right.
you know, mother of my kids kind of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the green flags I'm kind of looking for.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Lots of boring, wholesome things.
No, those aren't. I feel like that's the core of like where we should be operating from. And more men I feel should be operating from that, because I have, guy friends who are in these horrible relationships with women that are just treat them like shit, like they just do horrible things. And I would really love men to start having these hard no's.
It's a lot of guys will date without intention.
Correct.
Right? They'll, and I suspect in a place like LA, a lot of guys are going to date a woman just because she's pretty.
Right.
It's going to happen a lot. Guys will do that. They'll do that anywhere, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Guys will date a woman just because she's pretty, because men give other men a certain level of respect when their girlfriend or wife is beautiful.
Right.
There's a certain level of default respect that is given to a man who can attract a beautiful woman, because beautiful women are, let's say, like, for want of a better term, like a rare commodity, right? It's the same reason why men respect another man who drives a flash fast car.
Right.
Same reason men respect another man who's got a flash watch or a fancy house or a yacht or something. These things are hard to come by and require work or some unique skill set or something like that, right? That's why we respect entrepreneurs, all this stuff. So guys will fall into the trap of just getting a girlfriend because she's hot and billion other red flags
right
with her, right? And they end up in that situation where it's a shitty relationship. They're getting it's abusive, or like she's treating him like shit or whatever, and he's just putting up with it because outside in public he's at least getting a little bit of respect for having a pretty girl in his arm, but behind closed doors it's like hell on earth.
And a lot of times not even behind closed doors.
It will get to that stage, yeah.
Yeah, I just do, like, it just, Yeah. Like I feel like I lose respect for a man who allows a woman to disrespect him.
Yeah, if a woman can walk all over you.
Like when I see that, I'm just like, you're just a weak ass motherfucker.
Well, and not only you as the third person observing it thinks that,
everybody,
but
yeah,
the girlfriend thinks that.
Yeah.
And the girlfriend loses respect for him, and she will eventually cheat on his ass, and she will leave him.
Yep.
Like, purely because she is allowed to walk all over him. He doesn't have any boundaries, doesn't have any standards. He doesn't draw a line in the sand anywhere and say, because he doesn't enforce that line in the sand either, by saying, hey, this is unacceptable behavior. If you cross this line, like, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, you have to draw a line in the sand as a guy.
I like if we can get that part, I feel with a lot of men, like learning the boundaries, like setting the thing. And when they do cross it, there's consequences, because there's only once in my life I dated somebody, and it was after my marriage. And mind you, my marriage was this huge, toxic, crazy behavior. And that's all I knew. So I thought that was how everyone behaved. And I dated someone after him, and I did something like psycho. And I remember him literally, like, we were in Publix when he looked at me and was just like, the date's over, and I will never speak to you again. I would never in my life date someone like you. And I swear to motherfucking God, I went home, and to this day, it's still in my head.
Right.
And all I think about is how much self-love he had.
Yes.
He knew his motherfucking worth, and he wasn't, and the fact that I tried calling him for months and years after that, and he would just be cool, like a friend, and he'd just be like, still not interested.
Yeah.
Like, hope was as well. I've seen him around and everything. And it's interesting because now, as I've done my healing and I've done my work, like, I have hard nose now.
Yeah.
So when a guy comes at me and I'm like, here's my hard nose. When you hit any of those, there's no, we're going to work things out. I'm out the door. Yeah. So when they do that, because other girls are like, it's okay, I'll forgive you. I don't. I'm out the door. So I feel like I'm people's karma. So when men who are toxic think, oh, well, every girl tolerates this. Every girl comes back to me when I do this. Like, ain't no bitch ever left me. I do. And not even out of pure ego, because I have self-worth. I know exactly what I want.
You have self-respect.
Yeah.
You know what your worth is. You know what boundaries are. You enforce them. It's real simple.
And that's it. And I'm like, I gave you specific rules ahead of time. These are hard nose. There's things we can work on, no problem. Like, okay, we can work on these. Maybe you have some issues with jealousy. Like, I can handle those big things, but like violence, you know, drunk episodes, just certain things like I'm never going to tolerate, like I'm out the door. And they're always like, oh, you were for real. And I'm like, so just, I really want men and women to really step into like having this fucking hard nose and their fucking self-love where they're not going to tolerate for less than what they desire.
Yep. You have to also be, there's two aspects to it, right? Having boundaries, having standards, enforcing them, knowing what you want, being very specific about it. But then also, especially, you know, and this applies for men and women, being worthy of those standards, being worthy of having that level that you want someone has to reach to, right? Because it's all well and good to say like I won't tolerate this, and this behavior. Okay, great, but can you attract someone who meets those standards? Ooh. If you can't, well, you're shit out of luck, right?
Yeah, it's true.
You're gonna be pretty lonely, or you're gonna be compromising your standards again and again and again.
And they're going to be in the same toxic relationship.
Exactly. So you have to be worthy of those things. And as like, for example, as a guy, if I say like, oh, I want to find a woman who's, you know, kind of homely, wants a family, good, you know, intelligent, obviously beautiful, healthy. That's like the more criteria I put on this,
you have to become
the smaller the sample size becomes, the smaller the pool of the population of women in America.
Right.
That diminishes again and again and again. The more of these things I put on there, so that means I then have to do the equivalent amount of work.
Yeah.
I have to make sure I'm healthy. I stay in shape. I'm building my business. I'm making money. I'm financially stable. I have a great network of friends. Right. I have influence of some kind. Okay, the more I build up this, the more I'm able to ask of my partner. So.
Exactly. We have to become what we want to attract.
Yeah. Awesome. Very positive way of framing it. I like that.
Okay. Thank you, you guys. This was an amazing, amazing podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Stirling Cooper. With an I.
With an I, yes.
With an I.
STI.
His Instagram handle is here. We're also going to have it down below. Give this video a thumbs up, you guys. Make sure you share it. If you heard something that you know that your homegirl, your homeboy, your best friend, your aunt, or your mom and dad, you know they need to hear this podcast. Just press the share button and just text it.
Hey, maybe they do need to hear it.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of us have toxic parents, so.
But tell them once you've moved out of home.
Okay, you guys, we love you.